All right, we've got a 10-team Yahoo draft, half-point PPR, quarterback, two wide receivers, two running backs, tight end, wide receiver, running back, or tight end is your flex, a kicker, a defense, and a bench. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 players on the bench. It's me, Bob Harris, senior editor of Football Diehards, alongside Emil Kadlec, the publisher and editor-in-chief. And we're going to do a little draft analysis for you as we play out this Yahoo draft. Emil, what's your plan?
Well, I've got the 9th out of 10. It's a short loop. That's nice. You know, I'm tempted with the top two quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, but I don't know how tempted I am. With two running backs, two receivers starting, the quarterback becomes a little more valuable. You don't have three receivers in most leagues. So in a half-point PPR, that means the quarterback's a little bit more valuable. But I don't know. If I don't take one of those top two, I'm going to go way late on quarterbacks, our typical late quarterback. How about you? What's your strategy?
I think for me in a 10-team, I'm going to way late on quarterbacks, or as late as I can, or as I feel comfortable, heading towards the double digits and see how that plays out. And I'll probably go running back heavy early. I feel like that's how I've been most comfortable. One of the things I think you and I both find is we're in a lot of drafts. So you have a lot of room to experiment, and this is no different. I mean, maybe I see how it plays out and try some different things based on how it's playing out. But my plan as I sit here is to go running back heavy early.
Sounds like a good strategy to me.
Yeah, it's not a tight end premium or anything, so pretty standard. We're about 10 seconds away from the start. I have the 6th pick overall, and that should put me in line to get a pretty reasonable play, whether it's a solid running back that I really like, maybe even Dalvin Cook would be my ideal. And the draft has started with no surprise. Christian McCaffrey, I believe, is off the board. As you would expect.
Faster than mine.
Ezekiel Elliott or Saquon Barkley goes off 2. And so far, this is playing out. I mean, I would say 90% of the drafts I've been in have played out with this top 3. And then it gets a little dicier. Some people like Kamara. Some people like Dalvin Cook here. I would love to see Dalvin Cook make it to me, and he did not.
Nope.
And so I'm up now. Alvin Kamara had gone. I think at a half-point PPR, you can make a pretty good argument for Derrick Henry right here, and I think I will make that argument. Michael Thomas available also. The top receivers, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, everyone's, poster child, the current ADP riser. I'm going to go Henry in this one since it's a half-point PPR.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Yeah, it's a safe pick, especially if I'm planning to go running back, to start out. I have a huge floor guy, probably most likely, and maybe I'll go for a little upside with the next one. Michael Thomas, first receiver off the board. With the 7th pick overall. Not a huge surprise, maybe a little bit in a half-point PPR. I'll be surprised in this one if more than one wide receiver goes off in round 1, but it happens. Even a half-point, you'll see Devontae Adams or someone maybe take a big play threat. Joe Mixon goes off, and you're on the clock.
Yeah, I tell you what. I'm tempted to take a Hill or Adams with a half-point Hill, but
yeah, I feel like for me, as you're making this pick, I'll just run through some thoughts here. For me, the half-point PPR, I don't treat it a whole lot differently than full point. And you went ahead and you took Kenyon Drake, and I think that's a fine pick. I think and you can tell me if you do the same. I slightly increase the value in your pick coming around again. I slightly increase the value of the non-receiving players, but just slightly. And I think for everyone else, for all the players who do catch passes, it's fairly relative. And we'll let you make your pick. And you went Devontae Adams there. So is that kind of how you view it, or is there maybe more to it for you?
Well, it definitely affects it the half a point a little bit, but it's not a ton. Obviously these people in this draft are pushing the running backs because of the half point, most likely.
So I'm totally maximizing this scoring system more than I normally would, right? I'm taking Nick Chubb as my second running back. I know a lot of people are concerned about the Kareem Hunt. He still finished half his games with Kareem Hunt as a top 10 back. So it's not, look, it wasn't as good as it was before Kareem Hunt showed up. I don't know if it was as horrible as people think.
But definitely a concern, but middle of the second round and a half a point, pretty good position.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes the difference. I think for me, the new offense coming in with Kevin Stefanski coming from Minnesota after sitting and learning under Gary Kubiak, he was already a zone concept guy. I think that's locked in pretty much. I think that's an ideal scheme for Nick Chubb, who has run for as many yards after contact as anyone in the league the last few years. So that's I like that about him. I think he's maybe a slightly underrated player.
And, as we were talking about the quarterbacks, Mahomes went in the bottom and Jackson went in the middle. So I just thought that was too high.
Interesting. Travis Kelce, by the way, coming off in the, what was that? The fourth pick of the second round. So not terribly surprising, not too far out of line. Julio Jones comes off in the ninth pick of the second round.
All right. This is going to go fast. People are drafting quickly.
Heading into round 3.
I've got that short loop every round, so that's a long way to it, but then I can kind of plan that next pick fairly well.
11 running backs off of the first 2 rounds, which, in most of the 12-team leagues I've been in, 10 or 11 are going off in the first round. So this is not too crazy. Another running back, Austin Eckler, off to start round 3.
Yeah, that's a decent amount of running backs.
And we're slowing down a little bit. So this next drafter has Saquon Barkley and Julio Jones, could go any direction he wanted. That's a pretty solid base, right? I mean, regardless. And I think that gives you a lot of flexibility. He went running back, or they went running back. It's Rick. Jonathan Taylor, a player I like an awful lot. Seems like a little early, given the circumstances right now to me, but totally defensible, followed by Aaron Jones. So 3 running backs start for James Optimal, Ezekiel Elliott, Miles Sanders, and Aaron Jones. This is an old school approach, eh?
Yeah, it's an old school approach, and let's watch this as it progresses. We've now got 2 teams starting with 3 running backs, because let's see who they get at wide receiver and tight end. It may surprise people that they may end up in a pretty good position. It's kind of a scary process, but it may turn out, and we're going to find out here in a few minutes. Your pick,
Chris Godwin, 5th pick of the 3rd round after Todd Gurley. Look, Todd Gurley's a guy, this is kind of the range he's been going in. And I think, you look at the Falcons' tendency to get a lot of opportunities in the red zone. He's a reasonably good receiver. I think he's a pretty solid play like there. We might be drafting him at a ceiling, even in the new home. But there's a really clear path to workload. Whoever the feature back there, the other guys don't get a lot of turns, assuming all goes well. So I like the spot, and I like the surrounding talent and the offense in general. So I think Gurley's pretty solid play. 3rd running back for this owner. I'm on the clock. I'm going to pivot a little bit. I went ahead and went George Kittle there. I'm a believer in getting one of the top 2 if you can. I'm not averse. I like Mark Andrews an awful lot. I think he might have an upside similar to what Kittle and Kelsey have, but you can get him a little cheaper. I think Kittle in round 3 is fine, even in a 10 team. You'll see him go as high as round 2, but generally round 2 or 3 in a 12 team as well.
Yeah.
2 picks away for you. The drafter ahead of you has 2 running backs, Mixon and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now has 3, adding Leonard Fournette.
Oh my gosh. All right. I'm going to go with Galladay, excuse me.
You like his upside a fair amount? I mean, half the season with Matthew Stafford, scored a hell of a lot of touchdowns, led the league in touchdown catches.
Yeah, I have 4 on my wide receiver sheet for half a point PPR. It's worrying me that so many running backs are going. So I may have to take one on this turn here and skip the tight end, but I worry about running backs because there's a shorter list of running backs that are.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon coming off now and followed by Mark Andrews. I could have waited, couldn't have waited around to get him apparently. So that makes me feel a little better going Kittle earlier. I'm in on the top three. I'm a little less in on Zach Ertz. I think he's still a solid play, but I think I'd wait till later if I miss out on the top three.
Well, 30 seconds. I've really got a dilemma here because I've got a long way to my next pick, and my next running back that I like, I don't know if he's going to be around by the time I come back, but I'm going to do something. I'm going to push the envelope a little here. Let me double check my receivers. I've got a lot of guys that I like here. How much time do I have?
You have 13 seconds.
I'm going to take this guy.
DJ Moore, playmaking wide receiver.
The guy
in
I
a
really
new
want.
offense. I mean, I'm not against it. I think he's highly ranked in all my rankings, regardless of scoring format. I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't have Schuster as high. I was just such a bizarre year last year in Pittsburgh. It's hard for me.
Yeah, I think the thing to remember about Pittsburgh is without Ben Roethlisberger, they threw for nearly 2,000 fewer yards than they did the season before with Roethlisberger. So there's plenty of hope for an improvement here, right? As long as Big Ben stays healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have a conundrum at wide receiver here, and I might just avoid it by going running back again. And I might do that by taking the running back that should have a pretty big James Conner, if he stays healthy in this format, should be a really solid play. If he stays healthy, always the optimal word for this guy. But same with anyone. I tend to be injury agnostic. If you follow the website, you know this, or you listen to us on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, the Football Diehards program. I profess injury agnostic as an approach. There's a difference between players who are chronically injured and players with chronic injuries. Chronically injured players, I'm kind of okay with. If it's someone who has the same thing over and over and it's a lingering problem that never seems to go away, then I tend to worry a little bit more. But in this case, I'm not so worried. And I think there's a ton of value later at wide receiver. So I'm fine making this play. I don't have a lot of Connor or as much as I'd like to, and he's been growing on me a little bit as we get into the draft season.
And look at the wide receiver run. We've had 7 receivers go in the last 8 picks.
Yep. Terry McLaurin, the latest, Adam Thielen before him, Mike Evans, and Amari Cooper right after my James Conner pick. Before that was Odell Beckham, who went right before my picks. Juju, as we mentioned, DJ by you, Galladay by you. So it's been quite a run.
So look at Terry McLaurin. That's a pretty high number for him. I think that's around the 15th receiver going.
Yeah, that is fairly high. I mean, I get it. He should be a target monster. I wonder about that offense in general. Look, I'm not going to question anyone who takes him. I do think this is early. Earlier than I take him, Kyler Murray comes off the board, our third quarterback off the board, followed by DJ Chark. There is quite a run on wide receivers that I'm going to want to get in on.
Better hurry.
Take 6. I still feel supremely confident, especially in this scoring system. Again, not so much that I'm devaluing players because of the scoring system, but guys get a bump. And, boy, I can't believe Allen Robinson is still here. So I'm going to go ahead and take him right now.
Oh, my. Great pick. That's fantastic.
Yeah, he was finished in, well inside the top 15, I think 12 last year.
Yeah, it was, again, one of those situations where we talk about what a horrible year it was, yet.
Right, a horrible quarterback play and a horrible offense, yet here he was putting up nice numbers. Another quarterback, Russell Wilson, off the board, leading up to a pick away from you.
Yeah. Obviously, I need to take a seriously look at the running back situation now that I've taken.
Yeah, Robinson finished as wide receiver 12 last year. And I have hopes for improved quarterback play, whether the competition spurs Mitchell Trubisky or Nick Foles beats him out. It should lead to a slightly better outcome for me. You're up on the clock after Zach Ertz comes off the board.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a dilemma here.
You need a running back at some point soon.
I'm going to take Mozart just because he's gotten some experience. There's some rookies.
Yeah, I think there's always questions in San Francisco about the plan with Kyle Shanahan, Kevin Coleman also there. Jerick McKinnon actually healthy. There's talk about him playing a role. But if you base this on what we saw down the stretch last season, Mostert a pretty easy call there. Le'Veon Bell. So I would say this: Mostert. I think most people would see Bell going off ahead of Mostert. I don't see a lot of upside in Le'Veon Bell.
If you look at last year, there wasn't some big games. It's a very big concern for me.
And Mostert had some huge games. I think. Look, it's a tough defense. They're a run-first approach. Maybe they want to throw a little more, but Mostert can also catch the football. I'm a little worried about the other guys there, but I was late last season, yet Mostert was the guy, kept getting the call. So I'm not going to – Cortland Sutton comes off, putting you in position to land your next pick.
Yeah, my problem right now is the tight end I'm looking at probably won't last to the bottom of the 7th round. And I've got 45 seconds to think about it, but I'd really like to take a running back here, but I'm going to go crazy here. You're going to think I'm nuts here. All right, I'll take him.
Tyler Higbee, based on a pretty narrow band of production last year, but it was historic.
He did pretty well.
I mean, he was playing – he outscored Allen Robinson over down the stretch. So there you have that.
Well, it was either him or Waller, and Waller probably would have been the more logical pick. But I'm kind of going, I'm probably going to end up having, even though we only have 15-man rosters, I'll probably take a late tight end just to kind of back myself up.
So I'm going to reach a little bit here, and I'm a guy that I haven't drafted a lot that I'd like to have more of. I'm going to go ahead and take DK Metcalf over a guy I like a lot in this format as well, Devontae Parker. But I'm going with the more solid quarterback play. I thought Metcalf came on really strong. David Montgomery comes off right after that pick. A super solid workload guy. I don't know if there's a lot of upside there. We'll see. Keenan Allen, also another heavy workload guy. Devin Singletary. Your thoughts on Singletary? Are you investing heavily? Are you avoiding?
Well, I've not been avoiding him, but people have been taking him higher than I have him ranked. The worry is that Zach Moss is going to really, take a good percentage of the carries there. So I've been kind of waiting on him, and sure enough, everybody takes him before I have not got any stock of him at all.
Stephon Diggs and Tyler Boyd. Boyd off the board ahead of A.J. Green in a half-point PPR. I find that a little surprising, but maybe it shouldn't be.
He's been going earlier than I expected him.
Hunter Henry comes off the board. We're in the 7th round. Darren Waller followed by Michael Gallup. Really, Michael Gallup was a hell of a lot better receiver than people give him credit for, as was Calvin Ridley, who I'll go ahead and draft here. I think it's easy to overlook what a guy like Ridley did. But honestly, he and Gallup were like in the same range, right? It was just a very impressive seasons for both of them.
Yeah, definitely. Is it my pick already?
Yep.
I actually have a tough choice here. David Johnson went. That helps my choice. Oh my God, don't tell me I'm going to take another. Actually, I don't have a rookie yet, but usually I do. Let me double check here what I'm doing. All right, this is who I want to take. I'm convincing myself. Cam Akers.
Yeah, it's a little bit – that one's a little tricky, right? You're not sure what to expect actually from this, right? You're kind of, Sean McVay's made a lot of comments that cast doubts on what the roles of everyone involved will be. I think Darrell Henderson's a great later pick, but I do think Akers is going to be the lead back. Ran very well in college, kind of not great offensive line.
What do you think about T.Y. Hilton already having a hamstring before he even got to his team?
That's a little worrisome. That's turning into a chronic situation, right?
I don't know what it really means. Is it real? But, it's got to concern you. A guy who can't even stay healthy in preseason. There goes another tight end.
Jared Cook. So I'm waiting. I'm going to let you pick first before I reveal who I have targeted in my crosshairs here.
You may want to be careful here because I'm a sneaky son of a gun. I know who
you are. I know this well, so I will patiently wait.
There's a guy I should take, but I've been having trouble getting this guy in my roster, and he won't be here when I come back around. How much do I have? 34 seconds left. I've got 3 running backs. I've got my tight end. I'm going to wait on my quarterback. Booyah! Hollywood Brown.
And you took the guy I wanted anyway. So
what?
Congratulations to you.
Take Woods.
Right. Woods has gained, they say, 23 pounds of muscle this offseason. He ended last season about 157 pounds. He's up to 180 pounds. Still very fast. They sent him GPS gear. San Francisco, first defense off the board in round 8. That's interesting.
Yep. Definitely not the theory that we subscribe to.
Yeah, I would not do that. So I am on the clock. Or no, I'm 1 away. And now I'm here. So I'm going to pick a guy that I pick a heck of a lot. And I think in the 8th round for a running back who could end up as a running back 2, maybe a running back 1. These are the kind of players that might win you a title if you get them at the right price. I think round 8 is the right price for Darius Geis, even in a, you see him go anywhere from 6 to 8 in 12-team leagues as well. And if you draft with me, you probably see him go closer to the 6th or 7th because I'm reaching up a little bit. There's another defense. Again, not our style, but clearly a mini run. Tom Brady went off in here. Robert Woods, a solid, super solid play. I mean, 10-team, I'm going to tell you, this is probably my first 10-team draft. I'm going to be doing an actual league draft for 10 teams in the coming days with the huddle. And this will be good practice because it's hard. I forget how much value you get late into drafts.
It shifts. That 10 versus 12, it takes a little getting used to. But there is more value. There's no doubt about it. Now, let's see what we got here. Yeah, it's getting let's see. I don't have my tight. No, I do have my tight end. Sorry. Yeah, it's going to be some interesting grounds here deciding where to go. As these quarterbacks are starting to
8 quarterbacks off the board. Drew Brees just went after Tom Brady. Prior to that was Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson in round 2, Pat Mahomes in round 1. Not terribly surprising on any of those fronts, right?
No, and I we had a university video you and I did earlier about late quarterbacks. The ones I'm interested in is Wentz, Tannehill, Stafford, Jones. And how late can I wait to get one? And am I going to double up on those? It's a 15.
Yeah, it seems like Tannehill's the guy that people are laying off of. I think there's the perception that they're a run-only offense. They're not. There's no such thing. Although I wish they were now that I have Derrick Henry on this roster.
So do you think you're going to take 2 quarterbacks in a 15-man roster in this league?
I'm not sure. Start round 9 with Buffalo's defense. I'm a little surprised that defense is going off, but, I guess to each their own. I will wait till very late. Defense will probably be the last thing I draft. It'll probably be the best defense on my rankings with the latest buy. So I don't have to mess with it because I'm only going to draft 1 defense. And I don't have to go to the waiver wire and keep changing around. Tampa Bay is one I've been getting a lot with the week 13 bye. I feel pretty comfortable. They played pretty well last year. I expect the same. Kickers going off the board. Had 2 kickers off. Harrison Butker with the 4th pick of round 8. And now with the 3rd pick of round 9, Justin Tucker went. We have Chicago defense, followed by Hayden Hurst. An upside play, if you ask me. My serious co-host, Mike Dempsey, single-handedly driving his ADP up all throughout the best ball world. Very high on him.
That's hilarious.
And that puts me on the clock. And I'm going to go ahead and take a guy I love, a guy I've drafted in tons of drafts, AJ Green. Look, I realize he's been hurt, but when he hasn't been hurt, and I think the last 4 to 5 seasons he's played full seasons, his target share has been 25%. Maybe he doesn't get that high anymore, but I don't think he's as washed up as the world thinks he is, obviously, in round 9. Going after kickers, this feels like a bargain. Jordan Howard, Ronald Jones, the guy that Bruce Arians says is now the feature back, or at least carry the load. That leaves you.
That was my next pick, was Ronald Jones. I had him queued up, baby. All right. Obviously, I have 39 seconds to change what I'm going to do. He's a guy I kind of like. You know, Landry is a good pick here. Everybody keeps forgetting about Landry, but that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Slayton. I worry about Sterling Shepard with all the concussions last year, and I'm going to reach up or reach down and take Slayton early.
I feel like, we're kind of drafting him based on that touchdown production last year, which was surprising. But that said, a connection with Danny Dimes, young Daniel Jones, the quarterback, both of us like an awful lot this year. Obviously going to come off the board at a reasonable price in this draft because we're heading into the double-digit rounds, which is when I'll start thinking about my quarterback. There's still no shortage of quarterbacks available, to include Josh Allen, Matt Ryan, a guy who's been money production over the course of recent seasons, Matthew Stafford, who was on career pace before he was hurt last season, Carson Wentz, I think he's got 3 straight 4,000-yard seasons, Aaron Rodgers, I remember when he was good. Oh, wait, he might still be good.
Maybe, but it didn't show last year. Wentz is one of my favorites.
There went Wentz to start round 10.
I'm going to do another bizarre pick here, and it's kind of a handcuff, too, for the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to take Darrell Henderson.
I like Henderson a lot, especially given the price he's going. I think you can almost even get him this late in some 12 teams, or, just depends on the crowd you're drafting with.
Well, the problem I have right now is I'm on the end of the draft, so I'm going to have to wait, 16, 17 picks before my next pick, and I just decided I don't want to hope.
Josh Allen followed by the New Orleans defense there. So I might see what I can do to flesh out my what the running backs look like. There are a couple guys I like that I might be willing to wait on a little later as kind of late round flyers. So I'll probably go back to tight end, see if I can get a second tight end here that's super good. And actually I can. I don't know that I need one. So I'll probably hold off there. I'll check the wide receivers. I'll go for another guy that maybe maximizes this point system a little bit, drafting him ahead of Jarvis Landry, drafting him ahead of Julian Edelman, Deontay Johnson. I'm going to draft Marvin Jones Jr., a scoring threat, a touchdown threat. As we've seen, Brandon Ayuk, that's about as interesting a pick as I've seen.
Whoa,
he's also going ahead of the likes of Jarvis Landry, Julian Edelman, Deontay Johnson. I mean, a lot of players that I would have taken ahead of Brandon Ayuk. And look, I don't know what he's going to be. Deebo Samuel also, maybe the wide receiver one there. We don't know when he's going to be ready to play. He's coming off foot surgery. So I'm not sure I'm all that in on Ayuk in an offense that isn't known to be pass heavy, right? They want to be a run first unit. So
yeah, that's
interesting pick there.
That looked to me like a guy who is a San Francisco 49er fan.
It's very possible. Although, did he draft the defense? I think he did not.
Not yet.
They're already gone, so he won't be taking them.
Yeah. One guy's actually doubled up on tight end, Team 10.
Yeah, I thought about it with this last pick, but it's hard to justify that with George Kittle. I don't know who else I would start over him. This is more of injury protection, and I feel like there's a lot of guys left. Greg Zuerlein, another kicker, third kicker off in round 10. There goes Evan Ingram, who I considered with that last pick before I took Marvin Jones. And it's easy to say.
He was sticking out there. That was a little surprising. Oh, my, here goes. They're drafting quickly.
Matt Ryan, quarterback, goes off. I think I'm going to continue to wait. I love Matt Ryan. I'm about a pick away.
Oh, Matt Ryan went. That's too bad, yeah. All right, let's see.
My choice coming up here is a guy. I'm probably going to go another wide receiver. I'm going to look at quarterbacks and see who's there. And it looks like, well, I may go quarterback here. One of the things I like to do is look at the queue. Matthew Stafford's at the top of the queue. Likely to be on people's minds if they're looking at the quarterback list. He's a guy that I wanted. I'm happy taking him in round 11. Would have been happier in round 12. But that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Yeah, I think you should have let him go so I could have taken him in 3 picks. But...
Well, that means I'm going to lose out on Danny Dimes as my second quarterback.
I don't know what I'm going to take, but actually, I was hoping for Wentz or Stafford. obviously I waited too long. You know, that Darrell Henderson, I could have taken Stafford there. Would have Henderson come back to me? How important is Henderson versus the other quarterbacks?
These are the decisions. You know, these are the things that come back to haunt us. I am well known to be to do quarterbacks back to back. When I get to this point in the draft, it's very possible here. I like a handful of guys. There's still some upside left. So the only guy, it's a pretty good list. Looking at the running backs right now for me, I don't see a lot that lights my fire just yet. I still think the guys I want are going to be available later. And if I don't get them, it's not going to break my heart. We've only got a couple of two bench spots left. So there went Daniel Jones. I'm surprised you didn't let me have him. Very.
Stafford. Yeah, we're getting to that point here. I have 4 more picks left. Assuming I'm going to take a kicker and a defense, that only leaves me 2 more players.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. One of them is going to be my second quarterback. I may not take a second tight end, may not take a second quarterback. We'll see what I feel like here. John Brown's a guy that is always on my wish list that I might have considered. There are a handful of players that I love later in drafts. This draft isn't actually deep enough to make any of them feel like great values, though. So I'll probably take them at a price that I normally wouldn't pay. You're back on the clock after John Brown and Emmanuel Sanders went. And you took your second quarterback, who would have been my second quarterback had you not taken him, as you well know.
I'll trade him to you for Stafford. Now, would you have taken him in this pick, or would you waited?
I would have taken him with this pick. I'm going to take a quarterback here, almost certainly. And I may go with one that I have not selected a lot at this point, and that being Ben Roethlisberger. The early reporting is good on his injury. He'll have some huge games. I'd rather have him than Joe Burrow. Other choices, Aaron Rodgers, solid play. Baker Mayfield, but he has the same buy as Stafford. Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff. I mean, I think all these guys have a good chance to outproduce this price range because I think pretty much everyone does. Ben Roethlisberger will have some big games. I'll go ahead and go there.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
Jimmy Garoppolo comes off right after him. Rob Gronkowski.
Gronk, yeah. I find it interesting that people are scared of Goff, who was, I think, the number 8 fantasy quarterback last year. And here we've got.
Yeah, he's got a good weaponry around him. He's just one of those guys that I think disappointed last year. So people are dialed back, and that's something that every drafter should do each year is make a list of players who disappointed whoever drafted them. And, it just and be ready to reap the value. Here we are, and, this late in the draft, and somebody's going to make out with that.
Yeah, and
I mean, he may go undrafted. I mean, it's not entirely unusual to see in this shallow draft.
We have 18 quarterbacks that have gone, if I've counted right, and he's not been taken. Aaron Rodgers was the 18th.
Nor has Baker Mayfield, who may be in position to rebound as well. Cam Newton, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, Phillip Rivers, Drew Lock, maybe an upside play there. There went Gardner Minshew ahead of Jared Goff.
Now, if Jen was in this league, Jen would have –
Ryan.
She doesn't like taking 2 quarterbacks, even in leagues that have larger.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. A lot of industry people don't take 2 quarterbacks, and I'm fine with that. Especially in a 10 team, I would have no problem with that. I'm pretty deep at the other spots, so my bench looks pretty well stocked. So I'm just not in a panic mode right now, and I may just play it out till the end. May get my defense and kicker starting now. And as much as I hate drafting these guys before the last picks, I don't see anyone that's compelling at the positions that I have to have. And that's kind of how I do this. Well, maybe if I was drafting a second tight end, I like Mike Gesicki here an awful lot. Got a lot of upside. But again, I don't know when I'd ever play him. I'll go ahead and go for a kicker who I think has a late bye and is in good position to score, right? Robbie Gould from San Francisco, a week 11 bye, won't have to worry about it for that long. assuming he is healthy.
Yes.
Would have liked to get
went.
Will
That was
Lutz,
one of my
always like
guys.
that, but it's an earlier buy, so I'm fine with this.
My pick.
Jalen Rieger is a guy I have a look. And Jamison Crowder was a guy I would have considered with my last pick after I get my defense had he been there. I mean, there's so much, you know, reasonably good and well-priced capital still on the board. It's
yeah. Again, 10-team leagues. You've got a little more fluctuation or ability to get great players late.
Yeah, there's a running back that I like, you know, very late in drafts that it just feels like it's too early to take, but I may just do it because I want to be smarty pants.
I'm going to do something a little crazy at tight end. I'm going to take a sleeper as opposed to a Gesicki or a Jonnu Smith or even Doyle, who people have forgotten about. I'm going to do something completely wild here. And I'm going to take T.J. Hawkinson as a second backup tight end.
Yeah, Jack Doyle's a guy I've been taking a hell of a lot. The Colts offense is very tight end heavy, you know, in terms of play calling. Doyle was very productive once Eric Ebron was out of the picture last year. I know they brought in Trey Burton. I do not fear him greatly. And I'm surprised. I'll take this defense. It's only a week 8 bye, but it'll work. Pittsburgh Steelers, they're very good at defense.
That's surprising they were left, considering 4 or 5 of them went earlier in the draft.
Tampa Bay, I like them just, you know, not for any – I mean, I think they're solid enough, but I love that late bye, that week 13 bye. So Kevin Coleman seems like not an unreasonable pick. Kerryon Johnson, Cam Newton.
It's rolling, baby.
Yeah, Mike Williams, I think not a horrible pick at this point. Damian Harris. I mean, I think we're all kind of dart tossing at this point, and I will throw my dart in the last round as well.
Now, I don't know if you noticed, but I have not taken a kicker or defense yet.
And so you're only going to get one of those.
Maybe. Well,
May go into this one.
I have the second to last. I have the second to last pick in the draft. I can pick a free agent kicker and defense up in a week or 2 or 3 before the season starts. Why don't I take another flyer at a skill position player and pick a defense and a kicker up later? It's a 10-team league. I'm going to get the 11th best.
That is definitely approach and not a horrible one in a draft like this, in a 10-team draft.
Yep. I think it's something that there's probably people out there who do a lot of it. I think it's something that you know, people like to stay within the lines. But if you really think about it,
it's something I tend to do. I like to check all my boxes, fill all the voids, but it's not like totally, you know, it's just that. There's no other reason to do it other than that.
Yeah, you just mentally think I'm supposed to be doing this.
Matt Prater claims he can kick 65-yard field goals, for the record. He said that this week.
I'd love to see it.
He'd love to get a chance. I think the people of Detroit will give free beer if he makes one of that length from a local brewery or distributor.
Oh, my.
So there's like about 1 million players I really like right now that I would love to draft. I think N'Keal Harry's a nice play here.
I agree.
New England's defense comes off.
And it's
my turn to draft. I'm going to go ahead and reach down to the bottom of the draft board for a player I just like, and maybe I could have gotten him as a free agent pickup. I just would rather not deal with it. I think he has a really good chance of being the hammer to Austin Eckler's, the Thunder to Austin Eckler's Lightning, and I just like having him on my rosters.
Yeah, that's a nice, good.
I reached for him, though, totally. Could have easily gotten him as a free agent. So if you're out there and you're going, wow, I need to get this guy this high. No, you don't. You can get him later. You can get him this late in 12-team leagues.
Well, he's the last pick of your draft, so you're not reaching very high.
Jonnu Smith, so your final pick.
I've got either a defense or a kicker, or Robbie Anderson, Preston Williams, or Antonio Gibson, running back Washington. I'm going to go for the veteran and pick Robbie Anderson and then see what happens.
Yeah, the one not coming off the ACL, although it sounds like Preston Williams will be ready to go for week 1. So interesting that. So this went pretty quick. Would encourage everyone to get out there and do some mocks. Hit footballdiehards.com and hit our mock draft simulator that would allow you to do a mock draft even more quickly than this. You can set up and configure for whatever you need, and you make one your pick and the computer makes the other. So the only limiting factor on those mock drafts with the Football Diehards mock draft simulator is how fast you pick. You can finish drafts in a matter of minutes and let it play out. So that's always a good time as well.
All right, great draft. And we're going to do a lot more. Hopefully we gave good instructions. I think we did. And it was very interesting. And I need a defense and a kicker in this league later on.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up. And thanks, everyone, for checking it out. We'll see you again soon.